All right.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another live panel from the Jeopardy fan. I am Andy Saunders, and once again, I will be moderating. Tonight, we'll be discussing the Battle of the Decades 2000s week. Once again, our panel. First of all, welcome to once again Jeannie Kenkel, the founder of the JeopardyFan.com, also recurring panelist, archivist, and J-Board moderator David Kendall. Hello, David. And we have a couple of contestants from the week. First up, Stephanie Yass, as well as Colby Burnett. And finally, we've got Season 29 champion Josh Frumkin. So welcome, everyone. Once again, as a quick recap to the week, Monday saw our panelist Colby defeat Celeste DiNucci and Tom Nisley. Tuesday had Roger Craig beat Stephanie and Vijay Balse. Wednesday saw Russ Schumacher defeat Larissa Kelly and Tom Cavanaugh. In case I don't think you guys saw it, Stephanie, shake your fist again at the result. I don't think it made it onto the broadcast. So there we go. Perfect. Okay, yes, Russ Schumacher defeated Larissa Kelly and Tom Cavanaugh on Wednesday. Thursday saw Ken Jennings demolish Michael Falk and Vanita Kalasenev. And finally on Friday, Dan Pawson defeated Maria Winglinski and Keith Whitener. First up for discussion for tonight's panel, what was your favorite part of the 5 shows from this past week? Normally I ask what was the biggest surprise, but I figured I'd switch it up a bit. What was your favorite part of this past week's games?
Games are stuff that happened off the air during the games.
Well, you know what? I think this sounds like we've got a good story here from Stephanie, so let's start it off. What was your favorite part?
Colby can confirm this, but Maria was in the last game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, she was and is hilarious. And there was just her pacing. I think they even sped it up a little bit in the editing, but her sort of deliberate, dry humor when she had to pick that reality show category, and she said, "Do I have to?" I mean, and that got a whole beat in the audience and a huge laugh, and they cut some of that out. But that was just, I thought that is such a classic Maria moment. That was so hilarious.
Yeah, and like at the end when when it didn't work out for her and she was about to
just walk off.
Off the stage. She just walks. She's just like, I'm so done with this. She's ready to walk off the stage. I'm the audience. I almost passed out because it was that hilarious.
Between that and she was on a calendar, there were just so many priceless Maria moments. I couldn't even describe it to people. Because it's I don't want you to think I'm making fun of her. I'm totally not. I love her. I think she's great. But oh my God. Yeah, so funny.
There's no gamesmanship. That's who she is.
Yeah, totally.
She does not care if you don't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a whole bunch of funny people on the show. Well, not only this week, but the whole tournament. And I think that's probably the producers probably wanted it that way because they're the people that people like to see. They like people who can be a little bit funny on the show.
Sure.
Well, it was good because it felt loose, even with as much as was on the line, and I'm sure as much tension was at least internal, if not, in the studio throughout. It was definitely fun.
Right.
And I just want to say that I feel after hearing these stories about Maria that that kind of puts her in a new light for me because, I mean, I think I may have been one where she wasn't one of my favorite contestants her first time around, but I mean, hearing this sort of stuff out of her I think I like her a lot more now. Thank you very much for those stories.
For sure. I don't know if we can tell the joke she had at Ken Jennings' expense, but let's just say she's funny. She's funny for sure.
Yes, that's probably a good idea if you're saying that. After all, this is a live broadcast. Maybe you can tell us once we go off the air.
Totally.
You should.
I think I heard it, but
yeah. It's been mentioned on J-Board, I believe. Ken was a very, very good sport about it, but it was very funny.
And let's see other things that happened off stage. So I have a feeling that Tom Cavanaugh felt somewhat outclassed by like being in the room with these people, and so like he resorted to several mind games just in the green room, like repeatedly. And I think I might have already told you guys like the bagel story. So like it's really short. So,
I don't know the bagel story.
So like there's a platter of food and there's a bagel there, and like I walk up and I eat the bagel, and like Tom's like, you can't do that. It's like, why not? Like that's my bagel. Like I didn't see your name on it, bro. It's like you don't like it was stenciled inside. You don't even know. It's just several things that are just completely out of place and off-putting. That just make you
that's kind of Tom in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like this. Like you just think you walk away like this guy is either legitimately nuts or he is messing with everybody. And
both are entirely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess in terms of like gameplay, like nothing super weird happened in my opinion. I mean, I remember just when they had that category that Ken ran about the turn initials into Roman numerals back in numbers, and he just wiped the floor with everybody. Just polished.
God, how did he do that?
I'm glad I was able to duck that.
I remember a lot of people in the audience being really impressed with contestants. I mean, being impressed with Larissa's get. Her daily double get, which just, was drawn out forever when she lands on Tree Grows in Brooklyn. We were all like, what? I mean, you could tell she was thinking, and we were all thinking, and I'm like, I had no idea what that answer was. And it just, like, the last moment, she's like, a tree grows in Brooklyn? What is a tree grows in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
And I was like, right, well, wow. So that was... And
I guess that was kind of weird because, I mean, Larissa really, like, took control of that game, and then Final just took her out. And
I was shocked.
And I was talking to, when I talked to Dan Paulson, and Dan, so Dan won his TOC against Larissa in pretty much the exact same circumstances.
Right.
And was it a royalty question, too, that he won the TOC on? It was a similar type of question, I remember, that he won the Battle of the Decades and the TOC on against her.
And that's what, took her out. Like, she played a very dominant game. The person in second had a better grasp on history, and the exact same thing happened. Yeah. So, Russ did her in the same way that Dan did. And, I mean, not knowing Larissa very well, even though I have, talked to her outside of Jeopardy realm, it's just like, if I were in her position, I didn't know how, I couldn't live that down losing in the exact same circumstances, twice after playing so well. So
I think that was one of the most shocking results. I think people really expected Larissa to win. I mean, if they were betting on it, she's one of the people they were betting to go really far in the tournament field, and so I think that was a surprise to all of us. I couldn't believe she didn't get that final. I mean, God, even I got it. So, I mean, I was really surprised. I was really surprised by her answer. I mean, we can kick ourselves all night and day about the ones we got right and the ones we got wrong. So, I'm sure she's probably come to peace with it. But, yeah, it's a cruel irony to have lost kind of the same way both times.
Well, the wagering's tough, too. I mean, it's like the maybe I'm getting ahead, but, tournament wagering versus regular game wagering. And, I mean, she was pretty far ahead, and who knows? But if she just bet zero, would have gotten through. So it's tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, David? All things considered, I mean, Russ did underbet a bit. I mean, he had to cover just in case everybody was stumped. I mean, I think he did the right thing. Mostly. I mean, he was off by maybe $1,000 or maybe $1,500, but yeah, that was it was a bit of a shock. Not Russ played a bad game either, but it was still that final was just oh, this sounds like a Russian who would dislike Muslims
narrows it down.
It's just oh, what I got it immediately, but it's just I was just really shocked that there was just no get. And
Yeah, I didn't expect that one to be a triple stump.
And also, I would say that as far as the most underrated player. Like Russ is very underrated.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would say that I kind of didn't, because I think like his TOC run just wasn't as spectacular, that I was kind of not paying attention to the prowess that he has. So like he knows, I say that he has the breadth of knowledge to still do well in most circumstances, and he gets a board that favors him. He'll do his thing. And
yep.
Yeah, but that was an upset, and I think that was really, like, of the group, that was the only one that seemed like a shock. So.
But then again, I think a lot of the Tournament of Champions winners did make it through, so I think that had some. I think, having the skill to have won a Tournament of Champions is, I think, maybe a little underrated compared to some of the other people who had good, strong runs in the regular season but didn't do as well in the tournament. Now, while we're on the subject of wagering, that was actually what I was going to talk about on Monday's game. I decided I was going to look up the scores going into Final Jeopardy on Monday. They were Colby had 16,400, Celeste 16,200, Tom 7,400. Of course, Colby bet just at 199, and it ended up winning the game because of it. What was going through your head? What was your thought process when choosing to bet just 199 there, Colby?
Okay, so I looked at that category and realized, like, you know what? I'm not going to know this. Celeste probably will, and I'm just going to, out of sheer vanity, let her. If she's going to beat me, she's going to beat me. I am not going to beat myself by betting hard and failing. That was the entire thought process there. I'm up by $200. I'm going to bet 199 to say that I bet something, and then she has to beat me, because Tom can't catch either of us.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I put. Is just put it all on Celeste, and whatever happens, happens. Because I looked at that, it's like, this is not my wheelhouse. When Alex shows up and he talked to us before, and he says, I don't know if you were able to see any of the other games, but the question difficulty, and then he just pauses and he just says, shit, and then he walks out.
Remember, this
that
is
was amazing
the live
moment.
broadcast,
That was an amazing moment. I was like, uh-oh, Alex has been doing this for 30 years. If he thinks these are hard,
that was
so bad.
That was just, he just goes, he just says that and then just walks off. I'm like, okay, I see how this is going to play out. And also, it really helped that I saw Pam's game, and Pam was in a very similar situation, and she said, basically, I'm sitting on, it's like a blackjack table when you're sitting on like a 14 and standing. That's pretty much what I did. So I said, I got a 14, dealer showing a bus card, just stand and hope for the best.
So what did the rest of the panel, when they saw the wager, what did you guys think about it? Now that we've heard Colby, and what do the rest of you guys think of what he did? I mean, obviously it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I was thinking of, at the time, well, I think I had just gotten my name called to go to the next game, so I didn't even have time to process anything. I think hearing Colby explain it makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me. Because when it's that close between the two, like you said, if you can't be caught by the third, you just need enough so that they have to wager to beat you. She's going to assume he's going to wager at least that, if not more, right?
Yeah.
And so she's got to cover it somehow. So I think it actually makes a lot of sense. But you're talking to me. I know jack about wagering.
It's important. It's important to know stuff to be at Jeopardy, which is the most brilliant statement ever. But it's important also to know what you don't know. And if you know you don't know opera, and I know I don't. I mean, I bought like an opera for dummies book to study for my audition, like just in case. If you know you don't know it, you might as well give yourself the best chance to win, which is to at least guarantee that if she doesn't get it right, you're going to be in the lead. And I actually thought about, and again, like a tournament is a bit different from a regular game. So in a regular game, I would even potentially consider that to at least give yourself a better chance if you really know you're not going to know it. So in a tournament, where you're still going to leave yourself with a. I don't know if that was going through your mind, Colby, but if you're still going to go through, you're going to leave yourself with a pretty good total. I mean, even more so.
Actually, well, of course, in this tournament, you had to win that game.
Oh, you had to win that game.
That was what it made it different. Those first runs, you had to win. And
Gotcha.
so, it still makes sense to me. It still makes sense to me what you did, why you did what you did, Colby. It really does. And hey, worked out. Hindsight's 20/20.
Like I just walked out, it's like, oh, I just won $5,000. That's how I felt about the experience. It's just like, okay,
for sure.
I get a free trip back to LA. Okay, yay. So, I mean, I don't think there's really much to go on. Like, I saw Pam, I emulated what Pam did, and it worked out.
That happened in a couple of games during the 90s too, right? Where it was the second place winner who just made some interesting wagers that won. So we had been seeing that because we were seeing some of the 90s games, and so we were seeing some surprising results of people winning from second. So it wasn't at all clear to me that the person who was leading going into the final question was going to walk away with the game unless they just knew it. But the questions were hard. I mean, except for mine. Mine was like, are you kidding me? But
most people were a little bit. You can think it was a little bit easier to wager in this particular situation because it's a tournament against known players. You have more of a feeling of what these guys know for final, thinking that, oh, okay, they're going to be good in this category, they're going to be bad in this category, just based on what you've seen them do, and that's of course radically different from a regular game where, of course, you know nothing about your opponent. So it's wagering kind of different in this kind of tournament?
I think so.
I think so. I didn't do as much background, checking on everybody, but
Okay, that's my question.
Sorry, Jeannie.
No, he's answering what I was going to ask anyway, so that's good.
So Celeste, I believe has a PhD in English Lit. So when it was Shakespeare, when it was, opera, and it pulled up Shakespeare, I'm just like, you know what? And it's Celeste Nucci, and it's in Italian. It's like, all right, I made my bed. I'm gonna lie in it, and it's all on her anyway. And I totally
he thought she was gonna know it. She really did. You played it right, Colby. She is still like herself. That she didn't know it. She knows she should have known it for like the 2 or 3 reasons you've listed, and chemo brain partly, and trying to read and translate the actual Italian on the screen. She got kind of stuck in that loop, and so it's one of those things where she might have even known too much, and it might have been dangerous for her as opposed to just sort of,
Yeah, so that is exactly what happened. Is that she knew too much. So there are, I believe, 3 Shakespeare operas that were turned into, I believe, Shakespeare plays that were turned into Verdi operas, and she went with the least common one instead of the obvious choice. And it was like, all right then.
Yep.
So the burden of knowledge that sometimes leads you to the wrong answer.
Right.
Okay, I guess we can probably move on to Tuesday's game. Stephanie, first up. What's it like playing Roger?
It turned out to be less intimidating than I thought it was going to be, because I got out to a lead and I thought, what is happening to me? So that was really exciting. He's so soft-spoken in real life and so mild-mannered. He's not like Tom Cavanaugh. He's not a trash talker, none of that. So he's not playing you. You're on the stage and then he's playing. So he's not intimidating in that respect at all. But, then he starts going all in. And I mean, I had him rattled early because I was beating him to the buzzer, which I think surprised all of us, including me. And then, he started to get some things and, and hit the daily double. And, of course, then, I hit mine. And if that had gone differently, who knows? Who knows what would have happened. But he got those opportunities, as he always does, and then he went for it. And, having gotten to know him even before we played, I thought, well, I'm okay with this guy winning, because it turns out he's a really nice guy. He's not what I had imagined he might be based on what I thought he was like, in his own Tournament of Champions. So he's not intimidating. except for in gameplay when he, and then of course Colby, you know, I see another CERN category. Thank you very much, Jeopardy. Two categories.
Yeah, I can't
sure I was
believe
safe. That could go
there.
off my list. I would never have to know about that because I've been burned on it once, and there it is. And Roger's like, I'm eating it up. So yeah, he and BJ were like, I'll take all of those, please. So yeah, it was. You know, and it's so fast when you're in it, you don't even, like, if I'd been beat on the buzzer right off the bat, I think I would have felt demoralized and like, I'm just a sitting duck and I'm, you know, I got nothing to contribute here. So the fact that I came in assuming that that was going to be my only chance was to sort of bring my mustaches, have some fun, take my $5,000 to go home. And it turned out that I actually was in the game. And like, if you turned it off at the, you know, after first Jeopardy, you're really impressed with me. You would maybe think I won that game. So, you know, it went as well as way better than I expected. And Roger's only intimidating in that you've seen him play before and you know what he knows. Yeah, and which is a lot. So, yeah. I was not excited when they called my name with his, you know. It's like, oh, that's horrible.
And the person who also got taken out by Roger, and like just realized that you managed to keep up with him on the buzzer. So I mean, I looked at the stats for the game that Pam and I played against him. Mm-hmm. So 60 potential buzzes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roger had 32.
Yeah.
Like we combined had 28. So it's just like, okay,
yeah,
there's not much we can do here.
No, and perhaps my proudest moment was during the first commercial break when I think Maggie went up to talk to him, and I heard him say to her, like, am I buzzing in right? Is my buzzer working? And I was like, hell yes it is, Roger. Go faster. So it was like, woo! That was a very exciting moment. Very exciting.
I think you could see the body language, even like
his ass on the. He was uncomfortable. He was just like, "Why is it not? Why am I not working?" Yeah. So that was a good feeling. I don't feel bad making fun of him about it. He's got a lot more money now than I do. So.
And I guess also with Tuesday, and I think this was alluded to when we were discussing Mondays. Mm-hmm. Do we think Tuesday's final was a little too easy compared to the rest of the week?
Couldn't believe it. Shockingly. I mean, to me, this maybe plays into this notion that I have that Jeopardy questions are androcentric, because, like, really, you can't come up with a more obscure. I mean, even Stanton. I mean, yeah. I mean, I teach women's history, so that's where I almost pulled a Celeste. Not that it mattered, I was out of it, but I was like, this is way too easy. It can't be this simple. So
and it ties into what I was saying earlier about knowing your opponent. They probably knew that you taught women's history too. So
yeah, they also knew I was mathematically out of it, so I don't think they cared. But I mean, you know how mad I was that I'd blown this chance on the Daily Double, and then here's, you know, a big fat softball delivered right up to me at the end. You know, at least I felt comfortable going all in. I had time to write all of her name, unlike others in the game. So I mean, you know, I just thought, I can't believe this wasn't even something that was really hard for me to pull out. Really easy, I thought.
You know, like we were up, like it just looked so painstakingly, like so painfully easy. There's like, man, could this be like Lucretia Mott or
right.
Because we're just like, and we're just like, no, just go with your gut here instead of putting yourself out there. And then,
I mean, it felt Teen Week to me, really, honestly.
That's about how I thought that discussion was going to go. So on to something that we may be disagreeing on a little more. Let's see. We received an interesting comment on our blog recently. I will read it out verbatim. What's with the sudden sexism in Jeopardy? Last night's show had a contestant described as having made the most money among female contestants, or words to that effect. Hey, this isn't weightlifting, this is brain power. We're all theoretically capable of beating anybody, even if it's a representative of the opposite sex. What could have entered their minds when setting up this ridiculous qualifier? For edification, Larissa was introduced as follows. She was a graduate student at UC Berkeley in season 24 when she became the first woman to win more than 5 games and set the regular play winnings record for a female champion. Do you guys think the show should make these distinctions?
When they benefit me, absolutely. I mean, I get the complaint, I really do, and we certainly don't call Ken Jennings, like, he wouldn't be like the winningest Mormon, because I could probably still lay claim to the winningest, like the winningest Lutheran. I'm still looking for categories since Julia Collins has so thoroughly trounced me in all the others that maybe I'm like the blondest. I don't know. So I get it. I get it. But
you could go for Michigan. You could go for Michigan, Stephanie. Michigan.
I don't know. I think there's some other people from Michigan, but I'll look into it. I'm willing to take suggestions. So I get that people don't want to make. I can see why people would be uncomfortable with those distinctions, but I think honestly the show knows it has issues with demographics. In terms of its viewership, in terms of the age and probably ethnicity of its viewership, and so I think they're trying to do stuff I know they're trying to do stuff to diversify their contestant pool, and so I think that they make those kinds of comments to sort of acknowledge, like, look, we're not just the show that has 3 white guy nerds standing up there anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with 3 white guy nerds. I've met a lot of them. They're lovely.
Well, I guess, we're supposed to live in a society where that doesn't matter, but it does. And you know what? And, there's absolutely no way in hell that they would ever announce that I'm the highest winning black person.
Yeah.
All right?
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I was just wondering about
probably wouldn't.
I joke about it. So, like, when, especially because of, what I did with the winnings from, winning the teacher's tournament, like, it pretty much all went into buying my mom a condo. And they said, and you're like, why would you do? Not why would you do that? Like, hey, it's your mom. It's just like, hey, you know what? My mom did a great job. She raised the first black something, and I joke about that, and I have fun with it.
Love it.
And
love it.
But like, yeah, we're not supposed to see that. But if Jeopardy is, the most of the people on the show are 3 nerdy white dudes, and that's fine. But they are going to make note of, especially women. Like, that they, I won't say went out of their way, but the idea is that, yes, we wanted at least one woman representative in every single episode. Yeah. And I'm not going to fault them for that. I think that's completely legitimate because they are in a position where they have to go out of their way to try to get female contestants. Every year in Chicago, they show up and, they send Sarah out to go to the Black Women's Expo down in McCormick Place in Chicago.
They're the whitest of the Clue Crew, by the way.
Okay,
maybe Jimmy next time.
Kelly or Jimmy, I don't know how much more effective they would be, but they do make the effort, and when a person who doesn't look like the norm is on the show, they're going to make note of it. And should they? I mean, I'm not going to fault them for doing it. And yes, we have evolved as a society where it doesn't matter. Yes, we should, but we're not there yet. So I have no problems with what they're doing.
I think it's also, Stephanie was talking about the demographics, too. I know, they probably want a lot more women viewers, too. And my daughter always says, I want to cheer for the girl. Because, see the girl? Oh, there's the girl on the screen. So, yes, right. Stephanie, we would have cheered for you, too.
Good.
Now, I seem to recall, I think it was you, Stephanie, during your run. Didn't your husband have to point out that you had done something no woman had done before?
That's correct. Yeah, I had no idea. I just came out of that week because I'm one of the people who started on the Monday, one on a Monday and then one all week and was still winning and had to be done for, a week. And I just had no idea what had just happened to me. And so my husband's the one who was sort of, for perspective, he was like, okay, I want to see where you rank now. And I was like, I can't be anywhere close to anything. Like there's all these 5-time winners from the past. And so as he started looking, and Jeopardy doesn't keep a lot of great records themselves. There's sort of that page, that they have with money, but it's not always tied to wins. And so it was really hard for him to even find it. And when we did find it, he's like, wait, this doesn't seem right. A woman's only ever won 6 games? Like, well, I think I can do that. So that was definitely in my mind. going into the next week of shooting that all I had to do was win 2 games, and I could take it. Could take it from Marissa.
I've already researched who the highest winning Canadian is for when I get to golf.
See?
I have my goal. I have my goal set.
Yeah, now I have to look into Lutherans apparently. So
that might be a bit more difficult.
I know, right? You have to ask some very pressing questions.
Canadian TOC winner, right? So you gotta win at least 5.
Right.
Or I guess 8, as the case may be.
And you're still not going to be as highly paid as the highest paid Canadian on the show, Mr.
He's got dual citizenship. Sure. He doesn't count.
He should belong to all of us. That's true.
Okay. Now, also keeping with Wednesday, and Tom, do we think his interview was good in thought, poor in execution, or should he have just started out in a different direction entirely? I know he made some comments about Alex's choice of wardrobe that might have been slightly ill-advised.
Yeah, he had, as you said, good and soft.
I'm just going to pan Stephanie's reaction right now.
He could have just stopped there, but then he figured, oh, I get funny, but humor falls flat. Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, I can't. I mean, you were in the audience at that point, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, that was beyond a lead balloon. I mean,
I'm also surprised that they kept it in the broadcast.
We were all waiting with bated breath. Those of us who had been at the taping to see at that show if they would actually show it, and we couldn't believe that they did.
I am very surprised that they did.
They edited some of the kind of the gap that made it even more awkward, but I mean that you rarely still silence a crowd with that kind of like awkwardness. It was shocking. We all thought, "Oh no!"
There was so much like, did that just happen?
Oh, totally. He did not just take it to Alex's backyard. Like, we all know his suits come from Botany 500. Like,
and then the credits
saying this. Like, read the credits, Tom. So yeah, I whoosh. And the shame is, of course, that he is sincere in his desire to do this.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's gonna tank the chances of you getting a good Kickstarter out of this.
I think it also didn't help that as the episode went on, and he just kind of fell farther and farther out of it, and was kind of visibly annoyed. It just kind of led to not a great feeling, at least while I was watching it the whole way through.
I think he knew he stepped in it, badly at that point, like from the very beginning, and so I think
in his microphone. Okay, give him the hard close.
I just think he knew he was not going to dig himself out of that hole, even if he won the game. So I mean, I think that, yeah, that would have put me in a horrible frame of mind if my interview had just been this like dead. Poor Tom. So bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty awkward, but then again, like most of my encounters with Tom were incredibly awkward. So I can't say that I was shocked.
There is some truth to that.
I can't say that I was shocked that came out of his mouth, but it's just there's a difference between knowing that like car crashes happen and then seeing one.
Yes.
That's where we were at.
Yep, we were all going to get called by the police and asked to fill out a statement. I mean, we all saw it happen, and kind of couldn't believe we were seeing it happen. It was. And Alex, I mean, that's how you know he's a pro. The way he handled it, I thought was, really great. I would have been a lot less graceful. If you're watching, Alex, no, I would handle it
Becky in fashion, yeah.
Yeah, tough.
So moving on to Thursday, I don't think anyone on this panel has played against Ken Jennings before, though. Yeah, so with the panel say, do you guys think it would be similar to playing against Brad and Roger, playing against Ken, or would you say it's even tougher from what you've seen?
What do you think, Colby?
So you're asking how would we match up?
Well, do you think it'd be is hard playing? Is Ken?
Hard?
Is he just as scary as Brad or Roger, or more so? Or
I think he's every bit as scary because, number one, the all-in daily double strategy. You know that if it's anything in his wheelhouse, he's going to go for it. So I mean, there's that. And in the game that he played against against Ken and against Brad, he was fearless. So I mean, I think he will go against. I mean, he will go against anyone.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly dominant, and if either of those daily doubles go his way, he's a millionaire.
If he answers the final Jeopardy question right.
Yeah.
I still can't believe he didn't, right? Yeah. No, I think both he and Brad, unlike Roger, are still also immersed in the trivia world in a variety of ways. Ken's writing his puzzles, and so he's still very much into knowledge acquisition. And so neither he nor Brad have really left that mode, and I think that makes them scary. They know, if anything, they probably know more than the last times they were on. And so that would terrify me. Again, I think Rudder's got a gameplay, like a style of gameplay that might be a little more intimidating, but I mean, Ken, no one has played the game more by far. If that doesn't give you an advantage, what will? So, I was of the three to have gotten the draw against, I was actually more relieved to have gotten Roger. I mean, by a little.
And I think we've got an interesting story brewing from Friday's show. I don't know how many people noticed this, but you had Dan Pawson wearing a tiara in the post-game interview with the credits rolling. I feel as though there's a story. I know Jeannie was in the audience for these when they taped, or maybe Colby or Stephanie, but I'm sure there's a story here. Do you guys wish to share why Dan Pawson had a tiara?
Well, I mean, this is mostly... So, Steph, this is most of your doing, so I'm just going to stay in.
I don't even know if this is most of my doing, because if it was my doing, I would have had the tiara. But I think it started in the interview segment when Maria talked about being in the Jeopardy, the calendar, and she said something like, I want a tiara. And, of course, totally just completely deadpan, where's my tiara? And I'm pretty sure that producing assistants started to hustle around at that moment, can we find a tiara? Because that would be hilarious. So I think they were sort of initially trying to find it for Maria, and then when Pawson won, they had procured this, and so he was the winner. And I guess they said to him, "Do you want to wear a tiara?" And he's like, "Sure," because he's Dan. So yes, of course. So yeah, this little weird plastic like gold, not even gold plastic. It was not, as tiaras go, not very impressive, I have to say. But better than nothing, which is what they gave me.
Well, you also, no offense, but you also didn't win your game. I'm sorry.
My beef with the tiara thing goes back to my original run, when what you get is a shopping bag, a picture frame that is not oriented the correct way for the photos they give you, and a baseball hat. You think Jeopardy is not androcentric? They give you a goddamn baseball hat. And I wear a baseball hat. But I just thought, come on now, where's my tiara option? And they admitted that they had not explored the tiara option. But I feel strongly that there are many champions, and not just the ladies, who want tiaras. So that goes along. That my beef with why don't I have tiara? And when Maria said, "Where's my tiara?" I smacked Aaron McLean next to me in the audience. He's like, "Where's my tiara?" So I was prepared to be really mad if they could find one for her, but not for me. And then Dan looked adorable in it. So, and it was not as high quality as the one I would have expected. So I let him keep it. But he did have my Mockingjay pin, which he then broke. What are you
So
gonna do?
Dan owes Stephanie a Mockingjay pin.
He did pay for drinks and karaoke in New York, so I'm calling it even.
That works.
Yeah.
Now, all of the 15 opening round games are done. Do we, in terms of the contestant selection, do we think that there were any glaring omissions from the contestant list for this tournament? Like, is there anyone who we think should have been part of it? I know
Yes, I think
a
so.
few people. I think I might have liked to have seen Jason Keller on.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Dave
yeah.
Madden.
Oh, Dave Madden,
Yes,
of course.
Dave
Of course.
Madden.
Well,
Yeah.
so I can tell you why Dave. Do people know why Dave Madden wasn't there?
Well, we know, yeah.
Okay, because it wasn't.
We do know. I think we should explain it for the live panel
Sure
broadcast.
we know.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because somebody just left a comment about that last week asking why he wasn't there. So people they're interested in that.
Even though Alex said it in the show
do you want me to
once.
sound conspiracy theories and tell you what really happened, or do you want me to play party line and tell you what really happened?
Well, which is more fun? Come on.
I mean, what's the odds?
You know the answer to which one is more fun.
I mean, what's the odds I'm getting invited back anyway? Slim to none. No, I mean, the official verdict was that, and I think this is the reason, is because he's affiliated with the national, is it the History Bee?
History Bee and Bowl.
Yeah,
So
History Bee, and they're represented by the same company that runs Jeopardy, and so that's one of those things they ask you to disclose when you're on the show, you know, if you work for the same company, and so they felt that he was, it was a conflict of interest, and the way that it was put, shh, don't tell anyone, this isn't live to the whole world, right?
Actually, it is.
I know that, but let's pretend, right? So I can cover my own. So the way it was presented was that Dave himself had withdrawn, and that is not my sense of what really happened. My sense of what really happened.
I was confused by that too.
Is that he was told he couldn't, and then they substituted a last-minute substitution. Who was not me, but I know who it was. Let's just say.
Okay.
I wonder how Dave would have done in the tournament had he been there.
Good. Well, probably, don't you think, Colby?
I mean, he could have done well, but like very much with his long run. Like, I mean, I've looked back over his stats, and sometimes you get a nice draw and you just roll people.
Sure.
So, I mean, he reached a snag.
He didn't win his TOC, did he?
I mean,
I think Tricoli flamed out in his TOC, didn't he?
Yeah,
He
I mean,
lost in the semifinal.
He was up against a really good player and a board that didn't suit him.
And that happens from time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the FedEx question.
Sure. Yeah, sure. It's always the board in front of you. I mean, I'm convinced anybody can win or lose that game any day of the week, anytime. It's the questions. It's that's it. It's the board.
And in Dave's, I mean, also with regards to the board, I remember very well in his first game that one of my friends, John Coulterman, was in Dave Madden's opening game when Dave was a challenger. Dave and John Coulterman were the two challengers, and John actually underwagered, giving Dave a sole victory when it could have been a tie, and John still maintains he would have completely steamrolled Dave in game 2.
Yeah.
But so I mean, it's things like that are the difference. And I mean, we didn't talk about this with Mark Dawson, but I mean, his first game he won because his opponent miswagered, and so it's that sort of thing where it's so close between winning and losing the first time, and you just get on the roll, and that before you know it, oh look, you've got 19 wins.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at the stats on that like right now. It's just like that was and David wasn't even leading going into finals that one.
I just want to point out something because you're on the archive right now. That was a really, in terms of a board, that was probably one of the weirdest boards the show's ever put together. If you notice, all of the category names and all of the correct answers are exactly 7 letters in length.
Oh, I love that.
Wow. Very New York Times crossword puzzle.
Okay.
Now, moving along, I think. Well, at least, sorry.
I was going to suggest some other people I'd like to have seen in the tournament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can go back to that.
One sec. Hold on 1 second. I want to put this on. There we go. Put this on. Jeannie. Jeannie, go ahead. Who did you want to see in the tournament?
Well, I wanted to see Buddy Wright for one thing. I mean, I thought he would have been perfect for the 2000s.
Yeah.
Also Ryan Chafee, because he seemed to want it so badly. He was one of the 5 that were potential audience picks. And I pushed hard for him because I just thought he wanted it really badly, and he was really fun to watch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stephen Goodrow, I wanted to see him in the tournament.
Oh, yeah. He would have been really good there, too. And I think he had the kind of personality that the producers would have liked there, too. As I mentioned before, the humorists, the people who made good television were unnaturally represented in Battle of the Decades, and that would have been Stefan's home turf.
Yeah.
One of those kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For Jeannie's sake, I think we're going to backtrack slightly because I didn't ask this earlier. In Tuesday's game, and I think maybe Stephanie can speak to this a little bit as well, the Rabbit Abbott Habit triple stumper, where apparently VJ looked like he wanted to ring in on the rebound, but for some reason wasn't given an opportunity to.
Yeah, they even stopped the tape there. There was a long delay. I mean, VJ was like, like he knew the answer but wasn't given a chance. It was like so unfair, It was like $2,000 or $1,600, I think it was, and just didn't have a chance at it,
Oh.
So I don't know. I couldn't tell what they wound up deciding, but by the end of the long pause, he looked satisfied. So, and I don't think it mattered in the end anyway. But I don't know if Stephanie, if you could hear anything that was going on the stage about it.
No, they had us turned around, and that's when I was thinking, should I be trying to intimidate Roger right now? Should I be talking to him, or should I be seriously trying to remember the board and what categories are left so I can pre-call things? And so no, I didn't hear what they were saying. In fact, I know I messed it up, and then Roger messed it up.
Yeah.
Right? Or is it the other way around?
No, I think you were first. I think here I have it. I think you were first, and then Roger tried it.
Right, and then I think it was even did Alex actually say, did he go to an answer, to say no?
Yeah, he just immediately
just shut it down.
He didn't consider VJ at all. He just said the correct answer, and VJ just had his palms up what's going on?
And I think the standard practice is if Alex does that, mistakenly or not, they feel like there's not much they can do, so maybe they were just explaining that to VJ. Because, I think he's done that before, Alex. Where
it happened.
That's the answer, and you can't,
maybe? That's
short
one
of
of the
putting
other
a new
games.
question up.
It happened in one of my games. I'm trying to think. I think it was the first half. I think it was the first half of my final that they just went they didn't go to you at all. It's I didn't know it, so I didn't know it.
There was one, I think it was maybe with Larissa, because I was just watching it this afternoon, where Alex misread the it was the self-taught, self-educate, Alex misread the category, and so he said the answer, whatever. Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember that particular clue in the audience. I think we'd all, certainly Larissa, had forgotten that the category was self-E, with an E. And here's what it was. Alex had not explained that. This is what I remember. I might be remembering wrong, but I feel like he didn't clearly say that when he was explaining what the category was about. So that's what the controversy was about. Did he say that you had to have the E in it, or did you have to be able to just read that and know it? And Dan Possum was sitting next to me, and when she said self-taught, he said right away, they're going to have to change that. They're going to have to change that ruling. And he was right.
Yeah, I remember titling the post when it originally aired about that. Figure the category out yourselfie.
Right. Yeah, Alex didn't prompt us like he usually does. And when you're in the middle of the game, that's not always, it should be, but it's not always the thing you're thinking about. Is really reading the category carefully. Or even remembering where you are.
Yeah.
So, moving on, a couple of questions. I think we're almost running out of time here, but a couple of questions for Colby and Stephanie. First up, Stephanie, what have you been up to since your most recent appearance?
Let's see, that was April Fool's Day. I think they did that intentionally, to me, frankly. I finished the school year. I'm in my office right now, so you can see my, my regalia and stuff. And the biggest thing we did is I finally spent some Jeopardy money on travel because we had always said we would. And so my husband and I went to Spain for 2 weeks in May, which was, yeah, nice. I mean, it was amazing. It was, if you ever get a chance to go to Spain, Colby, you need to get out more. If you get a chance to go to Spain, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful country. I mean, we just had a wonderful, wonderful trip. So that was the highlight of the summer easily. So now back to school. It's back to school.
Maybe we can suggest, I don't know if anyone remembers the discussion for last week, but maybe we can suggest Spain to Robin as well. And Colby, what have you been up to?
So, not a whole lot. I did not go on vacation, this much. I moved in, so this is from my condo, so I got my mom one, and then I got myself one, so that was great. So I realized the floors are thin, and so I have to go get some flooring work done. But that's the least of my problems right now. But like I said, I teach high school, and there was a kid 2 days ago that asked for an autograph, and it's just yeah, it's just you want an autograph? It's kid, I write my name on passes and other stuff.
Right. You go to the bathroom. There you go.
I'm just, it's just and just just write it in my world history folder. It's just okay. And then I asked who's your teacher? It's oh, your teacher's Mr. So and so. It's that's good. He's also awesome. So you think you really lucked it out, kid. So, and I especially enjoy teaching freshmen because the novelty is almost totally worn off, and it'll be gone by next year, and I can go back being a normal history teacher, which is pretty cool. And just generally I like what I do. I've got I've got a home, I've got money in the bank, and yeah, I just need to overcome some aspects of frugality and yes, pony up and go somewhere, because the last time I really went splurged on travel, it was before I had it set, even before I was on Jeopardy. So in June, I went to the UK for a week, and then I went on Jeopardy, and then when I talked to Maggie, and she's yeah, is this going to be a problem when you come back for the TOC? No, it's not. So I will do a similar jaunt, probably. If not, oh yeah, I'm also in grad school while teaching, which is not fun.
Oh, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but it's grad school in education, which is, it's just yeah, it's
slightly less work.
it's significantly less work because they're just you paid your money. You seem competent. Here you go. Just do everything that you normally do and just document the living hell out of everything. That's what I do. So it's tedious. So once I get done with that tedium, that's the time when I'm splurging on myself and I'm gonna start traveling. So
cool.
Nice.
Nice. Do any of the non-contestant panelists have any questions they'd like to ask our two contestant panelists?
I have a question to ask.
Crickets. Okay, maybe I won't ask that question again on the next panel. In any case, I think that's just about enough time for us this evening, and I'd like to thank once again all of our panelists. Introductions again. Once again, thank you, Stephanie Yas, Josh Frumkin, Jeannie Kenkel, David Kendall, and Colby Burnett. Once again, you'll be able to watch us next Tuesday night when we discuss the Battle of the Decades quarterfinals. For Jeannie Kenkel and all of us at the Jeopardy Fan, I'm Andy Saunders. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.